Thank you, everybody, for coming to the 15th chapter. This is one of the most beautiful chapters in the entire Bhagavad Gita, and it's also the shortest chapter. There are several chapters, like the 12th chapter, which are very short, and this chapter also has only 20 verses. So, this is a short chapter, but a very profound chapter, and also very beautiful with a lot of Trishtup shlokas in Trishtup meter. As usual, we would like to acknowledge Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati for the traditional rendering of Vedanta as it was done for over 1,000 years, starting with Adi Shankaracharya. We'll say a small prayer. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Salutations to the lineage starting with Lord Sadashiva, with Adi Shankaracharya in the middle, and continuing up to our immediate teacher, Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati. With this, we will jump into the chapter. Now, before that, I again wanted to recap how the Bhagavad Gita is organized. So, you probably are all familiar with this. The Bhagavad Gita is organized into 3 shatkams. Shatkams mean a collection of 6 chapters. So the Prathama Shatkam, the Madhyama Shatkam, and the Charama Shatkam. The Prathama Shatkam talks about Jiva Swarupam, that is the nature of the individual, nature of the Jiva. The Jiva, we'll again see here, includes the mind-body complex along with the reflected consciousness. Then the Madhyama Shatkam talks about Ishvara Swarupam, nature of God. And the Charama Shatkam talks about the oneness, Jivatma Paramatma Swarupa Aikyam. How are the Jiva and the Paramatma the same? It also talks about Jnana Yoga and Satguna, or values to purify the mind. So, incidentally, this chapter, 15th chapter, covers all 3 aspects. So it's a short chapter, very precise, with beautiful verses, with beautiful analogies, and it includes all the contents of the Charma Shatkam. As I said, it's a short chapter consisting of 20 verses. I'm giving an introduction, a flavor for what the chapter is. It is considered a very important chapter, often used as a prayer verses before eating in many ashrams. So these days, we will see that everything is time limited, right? Even in ashrams, unfortunately, in some ashrams, they will start with the 10th verse or so. Instead of starting with the first verse, they'll start with the 10th or the 11th verse and go up to the 20th verse. But traditionally, the entire chapter is chanted before eating. Okay? All 3 topics of the Charma Shatkam are covered here. As I said, Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam, Jnana Yoga as the sadhana. This is the subject matter. Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam is oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. Values as Sadguna, a preparatory step for the Aikya Jnanam. Purushottama here means Nirguna Ishvara, that is the Brahman, the Ishvara without attributes, not Krishna Rama. It is the Brahman. Purusha Uttama, it is the Purusha refers to the Atma. This is the Uttama Purusha. Why is it? Purusha is the same. It's like inner space and outer space. This is the all-pervading space. It's still space. It's the same, but it's in its entirety. It's called Purushottama. So the topics covered are, first topic is Samsara Varnanam, the description of Samsara. Transmigration shlokas, that is 1, 2, and half of 3. Moksha sadhanani, the spiritual disciplines leading to liberation. And the word samsara, we'll describe it in detail. So if you're itching to know what samsara is, we'll come to that. Brahmana sarvatmakatvam. So Brahman as all jivas. So as I said, the jiva, you can think of it to mean the reflected consciousness reflecting off the mind body, the mind complex, right? So jiva is nothing but the reflected consciousness, but Brahman is that which causes this light. You can look at it as the sun. Sun illumines many moons across in the solar system, and it is the sunlight which illumines everything. So all the light from the many moons illuminating their planets are all from the sun. So Brahman as all jivas and as Jagat, because Brahman shapes Maya into Jagat. Brahmana Purushottamatvam, Brahman being Purusha Uttama, and Brahmajnanam Palam Cha, the knowledge of such Brahman and the benefit of such knowledge. All these are covered in this chapter. With that, we will dive into the first verse of this chapter. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Urdhvamulamadasyakam Ashvattam Prahuravhyayam Chandansi yasya parnani yastam veda sa vedavit. So Bhagavan here says, they speak of an eternal Ashwatha tree. Ashwatha is a people tree. It's not a banyan tree. Remember, Ashwatha is a people tree. In Tamil, it's called Arasamaram. That has its roots above. Urdhvam, Moolam, Urdhvam. So, Urdhvam, literally it means above, but here it means very big, it is the ultimate, supreme. So let's just look at this way. It has its roots above, Urdhva Moolam. Adaha means down. Adho Mukha Shvanasana, downward facing dog. Those who do yoga may know this. Ada Shakam. Shakam means branches. Shaka means branch. The branches are below, roots above and branches below, because if you see the people tree, the roots come from above and they go into the ground, and the roots are above the branches. Chandansi yasya parnani. Parnam means leaf. The Vedas are its leaves. The leaves are the Vedas. Yastam Veda sa Veda, with one who knows it is the knower of the Vedas. Okay, so this is the comparison. So let's look at, this is the people tree. You see, all the roots are coming from above, going down. Branches are below. And the significance of now the analogy is going to start. Significance of the tree. Urdhva Moolam, the Nirguna Ishvara, Brahman, is above everything. So the roots are above. And the birds occupying various branches so the birds occupy various branches, upper, middle, and lower branch. See, some branches are lower here, some branches are lower, some are middle, some are high. Okay, so they represent the three various level branches, represent various lokas. So all the branches at a same level form a loka. Each branch is like a body. Okay, and each branch, so a jiva, which is the sukshma shariram, and reflecting the consciousness, comes and occupies a branch for a while, then it leaves. So the first 2.5 verses is about samsara and its remedy. Okay, Samsara is a variety of problems that a human being continuously faces. So people define samsara in many ways. It is, you can say, it is the cycle of births and deaths, but essentially it's our lot. All the suffering, our life, birth, death, birth, death, in between suffering, some pleasure, then death, then birth, suffering, pleasure, death. So this entire cycle is called samsara. It's our lot, essentially. It is a variety of problems that a human being continuously faces. To get out of the problem, people continuously run about. Beings continuously run about. Not only do they run about in this lifetime, but also in the following lifetimes. Freedom from that samsara is called moksha. Brahma Jnanam is the only way for that moksha. So it is continuous running. If we make use of some other remedies, they may or will work for some time. They will serve only as a palliative. They will never serve as a curative. It will not solve the problem. So as long as a person loves samsara, that person will not like moksha. And as long as he or she does not like moksha, Brahma Jnanam is irrelevant, Swamiji says. So samsara means the whole life of change, birth, death, old age, disease, death, association, dissociation. So in this, if you see in this entire chapter, Arjuna does not ask any question. Bhagavan starts and stops. No interruption from Arjuna. It's very clear. Everything is very clear. So this comparison to the Ashwatha tree is pulled directly from Kathopanishad. As I had said many times before, Bhagavan's favorite Upanishad is Kathopanishad. Bhagavan plucks left, right, and center from Kathopanishad. Shamelessly takes and puts it. Okay, now let's look at the common features of samsara and Ashwatha tree. First feature, Mahatvam, that is the vastness. The samsara is vast, never ending birth, death, suffering, and some pleasure. Adyanta rahitatvam. Adi means beginning, antam means end. Untraceability of beginning and also the end. Anirvachaniyatvam. So the Ashwata, you can't say where is the root. Root, it starts at the top, comes down. From that again, the tree grows. See how it grows. So it's like a circle. So you can't trace the beginning or the end. You see that? So the root go from the above, it comes down, and then from these roots again, it grows up. So it's like a circle. Anirvachaniyatvam, the inexplicability or logical uncategorizability or simply Maya. Anirvachaniyam means explain something. Anirvachaniyam means inability to explain. You cannot explain the samsara. Similarly, Ashwatha tree cannot be explained. Mulavatvam, the presence of a main root, the tap root. So the Ashwatha tree has a tap root above and many secondary roots below. Shakavatvam, consisting of many branches. Parnavatvam, full of leaves. Parnam means leaf, full of leaves. Shaka means branch. Palavatvam, full of fruits. Ashrayavatvam, support for the birds. Talanavatvam, it's moved by the wind of prarabdha karma. Chedyavatvam, possibility of the huge tree to be uprooted by an appropriate axe. So there are many comparisons. All these are explained next. So the universe is vast. The Janma and the Karma, they are always, it's a cycle. You don't know what came first. The Janma came or the Karma came. The universe has certain things that seem real but are subject to change and perish. That is called Maya. The root of the universe is Ishvara or Bhagavan. The branches also have, the universe has several branches called the higher, middle, and the lower lokas. Universe is a vast tree with 14 lokas as its branches. Deva Shariram represents Urdhva Shakas, are the upper branches. Manushaloka comes under the middle branch, and all the Athala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Pathala lokas come under the lower branches. Karma Kanda of the Vedas are compared to the leaves. They protect the tree and they help it survive. Karma Kanda talks about various variety of karmas that promise results, full of advertisements, while Jnana Kanda puts an end to the samsara tree. Karma Kanda nourishes the samsara tree, and therefore they are like the leaves of a tree. Therefore, Parnavatvam. Palavatvam. Trees have fruits to attract birds for their perpetuation. Similarly, perpetuation in samsara is through sukha, dukkha, and mishra palam, fruits of uh, pleasure, pain, and mixed fruits. All the jivas are like birds, like ashrayavatvam, support for birds. Some jivas are in higher branches, means swargalokas, deva shariram. Some are in the middle branch, means manushya lokas, manushya shariram. And some are in the lower branches, means the lower lokas. Therefore, pakshi ashraya means support for the birds. The tree supports the bird. Similarly, samsara tree supports the jiva world. Then chalanavatvam, just as a tree is shaken by a powerful wind, so is the tree of samsara shaken and moved by prarabdha karma. Similarly, the huge samsara's chakram can also be uprooted by a special axe called jnanam. In fact, the very word vriksha means that which can be uprooted. The Sanskrit word for a tree is vriksha. Vrik means, so it's something that can be uprooted. Okay, so these are the 10 points comparing the samsara to the ashwatha tree. Are there any questions here from anybody? Okay, let's continue. So I've talked about Janma and Karma, a story about Rishi Uttanka and Krishna. I'm not going to repeat it again. So if you click on this link, you can know that story. I've told it many times before, so I'm skipping it for now. Now let's look at the word by word meaning of Shloka 1. Urdhvam usually means above, but as I said, here it means superior or beyond comprehension. Ishvara is superior because it's the cause of the universe. Moolam, the superior, incomprehensible Brahman, is the root of this samsara tree. Adashakam, the branches in the form of the 14 lokas are below. Adaha means inferior, visible. The 14 lokas are inferior to Brahman and form the visible branches of this tree. Avyayam, eternal, whose beginning and end cannot be traced, because we are continuously born, dying, and this process goes on for others. Even if one person gets mukti, liberation, it continues for the rest. Sandhansi asya parnani, the sustaining leaves of the samsara tree are the Veda prescribed actions, karma kanda of the Vedas. They make a lot of promises. It's good, karma kanda, it's not bad. It's preparatory step. But if you're stuck in there, you will never get out of samsara. You have to eventually come to Upanishads, that is the Jnana Kanda. Yaktam Veda Saveda, with one who understands this universal tree with his many branches, leaves, fruits, along with Brahman as a root, that person alone is a wise person who has understood the scriptures properly, it says. Okay, so it, here, explaining a little more. The tree seed cycle, janma is because of previous karma, karma is because of previous janma. And karma kanda is always make the people to remain in the field of rituals. Um, there are many people, Swamiji says, who love the rituals, but they don't like Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads. They're very religious. It does not mean karma kanda is bad, but what it means is that they're stuck in that cycle. So karma kanda has to be used up to a particular limit, and sooner or later one should transcend the ritualistic portion and spend more time in philosophical portion. That is the jnana kanda. Okay, so far is it clear? Anybody has any questions? Okay, now from the second shloka we go into the meter changes. Now it's sensationalism. It goes from Anushtup to Trishtup meter. Remember, whenever Trishtup meter comes, there's a sensation, excitement. Adashchortvam prasrita tasya shakaha guna pravritta vishaya pravalaha adashcha mulanyanu कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके. Below, adascha urdhvamcha, below and above, spread its branches. Adascha urdhvamcha prasrita, spread. Tasya shaka, its branches, shakas, branch. Guna pravritta vishaya pravala. It is um, it is nourished by the gunas, the sap that is provided um, in the branches, which forms this buds, this twigs, the bud, all these things which are coming out. It is the sap. The sap is the guna. So the guna, our the three gunas of Prakriti, that's what sustains this life. Once the gunas recede, there is liberation. Guna pravritta, nourished by the gunas, Vishaya pravala, uh, pravala, all this, the shoots that are coming up are the sense objects. So we are attracted to things. That's why we are kind of taking a new life. So nourished by the gunas, and the shoots are the sense objects. Adascha mulan anusantatani. And there's a tap root above, but down in the world of the humans stretch forth its secondary roots. So this moolam refers to the secondary roots, and they stretch forth down. Anusantatani means are stretched forth. Anusantatani, they are stretched forth. Karmanubandhini manushya engendering more binding actions. So these roots, they go down and they cause more action. So it's a cycle. Karma anubandhini. Banda means bind. Anubandha means repeatedly bind to the Manushya Loka. So they repeatedly bind to the Manushya Loka. So this roots go down and they take the sap in terms of the gunas, send it out, and from the trunks, this new buds or everything, the new twigs that start to form, the desire for the twig is the objects. So that, and it's nourished by the gunas as the sap, and that starts, and then secondary roots fall down and it engenders more karma. Okay, so this is our samsara lot. Tasya shaka prasrita, The branches of the huge samsara tree, the tree of life, are spread far and wide. And where are they spread? Adascha urdhvam, up and down and up. 14 lokas as the branch. So the branches at a certain level. So each branch is like a body. So there are so many branches. So all the branches at a level constitute a certain loka. Higher lokas means the superior bodies, Deva Shariram, Gandharva Shariram, Pitra Shariram. They are the superior, more refined bodies. And the Jiva is not the body itself, because we have seen the body is not the individual or Jiva. Body is location in which or the tenement or house in which the Jiva occupies. Here, Jiva is compared to a bird. Okay, the bird descends on a branch. Branch is like a body. So the jiva sits on the branch for some time, then it flies away. We'll see a picture soon. Okay. So the body is compared to the branch. All the bodies together, or all the branches at a certain level, corresponds to a world. The middle branches corresponds to Manusya Loka, the Bhuloka. The lower branches correspond to the lower worlds, Atala, Vatala, Sutala, Pata, Talatala, Patala, Lokas. Upper branches corresponds to Deva Lokas. Each branch is a body. Branches at a level collectively form a Loka. Middle branches form the Manusya Loka. Jivas are like the birds that occupy the upper, middle, or the lower branches. Okay. So this is how it is. The birds come and occupy a branch, then they fly away. So we are all like that. Jiva here reflects to the reflected consciousness. So Jiva, in this context, it is the reflected consciousness, which is a reflection of the original consciousness on the reflecting medium, which is a subtle body. This is the Jiva. The body is not the Jiva. The body is the house in which the Jiva comes for occupation. So the Jiva, you can say, is the subtle body reflecting the original consciousness. Okay. So when you say the body becomes dead, what does that mean? This Jiva here has left that Madhyama Shaka, middle branch called the Manusya Shariram. If the Papam is going to be predominant, the bird goes to a lower branch, takes takes animal Shariram or plant Shariram or some other Shariram. If Punyam is predominant, then the Jiva can go take a Uttama Shaka, that is a higher branch, a finer body, Indra Lokam, Agni, Varuna, Indra, those Sharirams or bodies or tenements or the superior branches. Okay, Samsara is compared to a game of snakes and ladders. So this is how it's you, and that's why even Punyam is not good. Eventually, your bank balance has to be zero to get liberation, because punyam prolongs the cycle of samsara, births and deaths. Because you go to the higher worlds and then you come to Manusya Loka again after the bank balance is exhausted. And then what can happen in the Manusya Loka? You can make a mistake. So it can prolong the cycle. So the balance has to become zero. Jiva equals reflected consciousness, like the reflected sun. Jiva needs the original consciousness, the sun, and a suitable medium. So there are many examples given in Vedanta. We will see a few. This is one example that's given. So a farmer gets a lot of pots in olden days. This is how, before irrigation and all those systems were there, he gets a lot of pots and he fills them with water and keeps it. And the sun reflecting on each pot is like the reflected consciousness, the reflected sun. There's one original sun. There's a suitable medium, which is the water. The subtle body is like the medium, and the container for the subtle body, that is the shariram, that's the pot. So pot holds water. Pot is like the sthula shariram, the gross body. Water is like the sukshma shariram, the subtle body. And the reflection in each pot is like the reflected consciousness. But there's one original consciousness, the sun. Is it clear, everybody? It's a very important point. Everybody, any questions here? Yes, no? No response?
I'm good, Ganesh.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, we've seen another example, that is of the moon. So there are many moons in the solar system, right? Each moon reflects the sunlight onto the planet. It is the satellite of. So the sun is like the original consciousness, and the sunlight, it's now reflects of the moon. The moon is like the subtle body, and it reflects the reflected light. The moonlight is like the reflected consciousness. Guna pravruddha. What decides the next shariram? Not decided by Bhagavan. It is not decided by fate, but decided by free will, which we can use constructively or abuse. There's some amount of karma that you're carrying, but you can shape it. The karma which has not started. So the karma, which, remember, there are three types of karma, right? Prarabdha karma, Sanchita karma, and Agami karma. Prarabdha karma is one whose fruits have already started. That is this lifetime. Your lot in this lifetime is Prarabdha karma. That is very difficult to change. You can defang it, make it less painful. If you're born with a deformity of the body, that is considered to be Prarabdha karma. You can't do much about it, but you can learn to live with it and have peace of mind. Sanchita karma is that baggage which has not started producing fruits, which has not caused a deformity in the body or taken you to higher worlds. That karma can be neutralized through knowledge. So that is where free will comes. You can use it constructively or abuse it. Each body, you can use the knowledge in this lifetime to reduce the baggage of Sanchita karma. And Agami karma is the one which has not started. Each body is determined by three gunas resulting from our actions. Okay? The entire samsara is like the game of snakes and ladders. No guarantee of steady progress upward. And go, 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 and then look, snake, come down. Okay? Shoots as the sense objects determining our next body. Vishaya pravalaha. Our next body exists in this Janma itself in the form of a shoot. This shoot is a desire for sense objects. So in the branch, you will see a small shoot. This shoot is gradually nourished. How is it nourished? By more desires. And then it will become a full-fledged branch, which is the next body. Okay. So Vishaya, sense objects, gives rise to kama, desires, which gives rise to karma, which gives rise to karma palam, punyam papam, which results in next shariram. So the buds and the twigs are put forth only by those branches which are full of sap. Functioning of the three gunas supplies the required sap, and the feasting of the senses on the sense objects puts forth the buds and the twigs. The buds go out because of desires, and it's supplied, it's nourished by the gunas. The sprouting, leafing, and thriving of the tree or samsara is inevitable as long as the gunas supply that sap. Every sense object is a producer of a desire. That means Vishya leads to Kama, Kama leads to Karma, Karma leads to Karma Palam called Punya Papa. Punya Papa determines the next Sharira. Now, another important point, secondary roots. The primary root is Bhagavan. The secondary roots that spread all over the ground are the raga, dvesha, vasanas, that is the well entrenched tendencies of likes and dislikes. Now, where are these roots? Further down, adascha, and further adascha means further down, the mulani. Here, mulam refers to the secondary roots. Anusantatani, they're spread all over. You see, the secondary roots, they come down and entrench themselves on the ground. There's one tap root. From that, all the roots come down and entrench themselves. The secondary roots, the tap root is Ishvara. The secondary roots are tendencies in the form of likes and dislikes, which cause binding actions resulting in karma palam, fruits of actions, good, bad, and mixed. Punyam, papam, mishra palam. Where are these happening? Manushya loke. It's only in the Manushya loka we can add. In the other lokas, we can deplete our papam or deplete our punyam. In the Manushya loka alone, we add a fresh lot. This is the biography of a human being. By pruning and treating the slender branch roots occasionally, the growth of the tree is augmented. Parallel to this, a human being improves their lot by reforming and readjusting activities. Karma aids a human being reconstitute their nature. It is karma again that binds a human being to varying tendencies and provides momentum to prolong the wheel of birth and death. Is it clear? So it is the secondary roots in the form of likes and dislikes. So by adjusting our likes and dislikes, we adjust our karma and we reconstitute our nature, because it is eventually karma that binds, and the karma causes karma palam. Binding actions causes karma palam. Okay, so remember, it's not any karma. Karma of a yogi doesn't cause any palam. It is binding actions because of raga dvesha, like forcible tendencies. If you act in a neutral way, it won't cause karma palam. So actions itself is not wrong, but binding actions is wrong. Okay. Na rupamasyeha tatopalabhyate namto na chatir na cha sampratishtha ashvattamenam suvirudamulam asangashastreణ dridena chitva ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम् यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसृता पुराणी. Each is in Trishtuk meter, and these two shlokas, they are sung together because they form one full sentence. Na rupam asyeha tata na upalapyate. Its form, rupam, asya rupam, its form, na iha, not here, tataha, as such, upalabhyate, perceived. Its form is not perceived here as such. Na antaha, nacha adi, neither its end, antaha is end, neither its end, nor its beginning. Adi means beginning. Nacha sampratishta, nor its existence is perceived. You can't perceive any of these. Having cut asunder This firm-rooted Ashwatha tree with a strong axe of non-attachment. And so this is why the sentence, half the sentence is here. That's why the two verses are sung together. Okay, now the description of the samsara tree and how to cut it. So the first 2.5 verses are about samsara. So till here, the samsara ends. Then this how to cut that is in the next half. So 2.5 verses talk about samsara. Its form is not perceived here as such, neither its end, nor its origin, nor its existence. Till here, the samsara is defined. First 2.5 verses on samsara. Second half of the third verse talks about how to end it. So, first half of the verse 3, Asya Rupam na upalabhyate, anirvachaniyam, incomprehensible nature of the universe. Nhanto na chatir, we cannot talk about the beginning or the end of time because it will require another time to measure it. The more you probe into the creation, the more mysterious it becomes. Mandukya Karika talks about theory of causation. This is Gaudapada's speciality. Your janma is because of the previous karma. Then the question comes, how did the previous janma come? Because of the previous karma. Then you get irritated and ask, how did the first karma or the first janma come? You can't ask this question. Because there's a logical, if you get into the logical question, you go to the theory of causation. This is the specialization topic of Gaudapada. In Mandukya Karika, talks about the theory of causation. You'll get into a mind-boggling logical problem. When you talk about the beginning of creation, we should remember the question was the beginning of time, because time and creation are inseparable. You can never separate time, space, and creation. Therefore, whenever you talk about the beginning of creation, you're talking about the beginning of time. Beginning of time is a contradiction, because to talk about the beginning of time, you require what? Another time. Now we need to look at time-wise the beginning of the second time. So it causes an infinite loop. So you cannot talk about the beginning or end of time. The first 2.5 verses talks about the description of samsara. Now we will enter samsara nivritti upaya or moksha prapti sadhanani, the means to attain liberation or the means to end samsara. Okay. This is covered in the half of verse 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there are 4 compulsory disciplines for moksha. Vairagyam, dispassion; Brahma Vichara, inquiry into the root of the samsara vriksha; Sharanagrati or Prapattihi in Vishishtadvaita, Vaishnava Sampradaya, called Prapatti, surrender or complete devotion; Satgunaha, values to maintain a healthy mind. So these 4 are covered in 3.5, 4, 5, and 6. So in 3.5, we all already saw, or the second half of the third verse, Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chitva. Asanga means non-attachment, dispassion. So Vairagyam is the first quality, the axe. Second half of Shloka 3, Asanga Shastra, axe of Vairagyam. Dridena Chitva, cut firmly or strongly. And cut what? The Ashwatha Menam, this Ashwatha tree, which is Suviruda Moolam, whose roots are well entrenched. Now, Shastram means the difference between Shastram and Astram. Rama is called Rama Shastrapratham Aham. In the 10th chapter, Bhagavan says, Astram means something which is thrown, like an arrow. Shastra means something which is wielded, like a bow or a knife or a sword or a mace. Rama is the greatest of all the wielders of a bow. Rama is the greatest. So reduce the dependence on the world, because the world is unpredictable. That's what it says. So, vairagyam, dispassion from worldly objects. So, first we saw the first one. Then, Brahma Vichara, inquiry into the root of the samsara vriksha, and Sharanagati, Prapatti, surrender. That we'll see in the next verse. Tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha tameva chatyam purusham prapadye yata pravritti prasrita purani. Then, then padam tat, that goal should be sought. Parimargitavyam. Tataha means then. Tat padam, that goal. Parimargitavyam should be sought. Yasmin gata, having gone where? Yasmin, where? Gata, having gone. Nanivartanti bhuyaha, they do not return again. Bhuyaha means again. Nanivartanti means return. There. So, no, don't return. Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye. To that ancient Purusha alone, prapadye, I surrender. And they should pray such. This is, it says, then that goal should be sought, going where? They do not return again. How should that goal be sought? Through the prayer, and to that primal Purusha alone I surrender. Yata pravritti prasuta purani, from which has proceeded the ancient creation. Yataha, from which purani pravritti, the ancient creation, prasuta, has proceeded forth. So the third value is mentioned. So these the two values: inquiry into the root of the samsara, Brahma Vichara, then that goal should be sought, inquired, and Sharanagati, complete surrender to that primal. One should surrender with a prayer to that primal Purusha alone. I surrender, from which has proceeded this ancient creation. So far, everything clear? And finally comes Sadguna, or the values to maintain a healthy mind. So, Bhagavan has told about these values in many chapters. We have seen that in the 13th chapter from verse 8 to 12. Ama nitvamadam bitvam ahimsa kshantirāchavam acharyopasanam shaucham atmabuddha vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam. All those in the 13th chapter, Bhagavan extensively covered. Then he's going to talk about it in the 16th chapter in the form of Devi Sampat, and later in the 17th chapter also. So Krishna wants to give some sample values here. So that he's going to talk about in the 5th shloka. Nirmamo nirmanamoha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha Dvandvairvimukta sukha dukkha sanyai gacchantya muda padam avyayam tat. Free from pride and delusion, conquering the defect of attachment, ever dwelling in the self, free from compulsive desires, free from the pairs of opposites known as pleasure and pain, the undeluded wise reach that imperishable goal. Okay? Nirmana and moha, pride and delusion. Nir means free from manam and moham, pride and delusion. Jita, having conquered the sanga dosha, the defect of a dosha means defect. Sangam, attachment, the defect of attachment, conquering the defect of attachment. Adhyatma nitya, ever dwelling in the self. Vinivrittam kamaha, free from compulsive desires, kamas, compulsive desires. Dvandvair vimuktaha, free. Dvandva is opposites. Dvandva two, duality, free from the opposites. These opposites are aversion and craving, pleasure and pain. Sukha dukkha sanyaihi, free from the opposites known as here it talks about sukham and dukkham. Gachant amuda, amuda means the wise, undeluded. Padam, that goal. Avyayam, that imperishable goal they attain. Okay, so I think this is a good point to stop here. I will stop the recording.